Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Entrepreneurs Lunch and Learns here today. I'm Drew.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Evan Arteaga.
And so welcome. This is a special episode sponsored by Donate PR, donation platform for 1101s on the island. We're going to go through a series of nonprofits that are doing amazing things on the island to give you some perspective and kind of behind the scenes to know where your money goes. You can find them on donatepr.com. But yeah, welcome to the show, Evan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Very happy to be here.
Yeah. So we go back a couple years. You've been working on the project we're in today. I know you've got, experiences in multiple different things. Maybe just catch us up a little bit about, your history and how you got to Puerto Rico, just to give some context.
Sure. Well, this is a pretty fun story. I was on vacation. I went to the Envision Music Festival in Costa Rica. Which I'm actually a really huge fan of because they build a lot of the sets by hand and it's very permaculture and sustainability focused. So just having a really good time there, met some real change maker people, and a lot of us were talking about coming to Puerto Rico because at the time the blockchain conferences were going on, and then also there was an initiative to help Puerto Rico get restarted, to rebuild Puerto Rico. So a lot of people were like, hey, what can I do? How can I help? So we came down and it was a lot of fun. It was mostly fun. I helped rebuild a few roofs here and there, but then I decided that this might be a really good place to live, especially with the tax incentives. And there was also an opportunity to work with this building that we're in right now. What our nonprofit has changed, has morphed from originally being an opportunity to democratize access or give people more access to talleres, shops, and now it's morphed into many other things which I can get into. But that's really what happened. I always wanted to live on an island too, so life is good.
So what's the name of your nonprofit? Let's dive into that. What's it called, and what are you focusing on now?
It's called Academia de Creadores, or Creator Academy. The space that we're in right now is a project of Creator Academy called Imaginación, or Imagination. And the purpose of this is to create a sustainable revenue stream to support the educational programs of the nonprofit. So we wanted to do something different instead of solely going for grants and donations, to actually be able to produce our own income. And the way that we're looking to do that here is by creating a place that's safe to take your whole family, that you can enjoy in an iconic building that was famous. I mean, it is famous for being a place that a lot of people hold dear in their hearts. When they were younger, they came here with their families and everything.
It used to be a children's museum, right?
Exactly, yeah, for 20 years. And after Maria, I believe that was the time frame, or maybe a little bit earlier, the schools lost their funding, the public schools. And even though the building owner, who's a philanthropist, was subsidizing pretty much all of the rent, they still couldn't stay open because they didn't have any customers at all. So what we're doing is more a more modern approach. Interactive art is something that's extremely, I would say, like, it's just sexy. It's just fun. It's interesting, not only for adults, but the kids also have a lot of fun. Because there's all different types of things that we're designing that are very engaging for people really of all ages. So selling tickets, throwing events. We've got a beautiful rooftop here that we're definitely going to start with a cafe juice bar. And I was thinking maybe cava. We're looking at not the Spanish wine, but the root. Basically that
Cassava.
Cassava, yeah, exactly. And so we're just looking at different ideas, but then also we will get some grants to help subsidize the overall cost of the building. Due to COVID, our original projections have been severely diminished. But I think that we can still do well here and operate a school and teach some classes here, and then expand with other partners like the Boys and Girls Club into their facilities and different programs. Artspace.org, we've been talking to them. We just helped them get another couple hundred more survey results through our network of artists and engineers and different people that are collaborating and helping us to build this project, so that they can do their due diligence and actually get a loan or get a grant from the Mellon Foundation to build a space here that artists can live in and get subsidized housing. And we can also have co-working spaces and STEM. They were like, hey, can you build a makerspace or a shop there? And there's a lot of different aspects of that could support the entrepreneurial community here. not just in hardware or art, but also in many other areas, co-working spaces, and having places like that where everyone's coming together is really what I think is the holy grail for an amazing production and collaboration and influx of output. So that, and then also there are some people here that high net worth individuals that want to create amazing spaces, very impactful spaces. So there's some talk of buildings being purchased in a similar format. It's a lot of opportunity, really.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So what do you mean by interactive art? Maybe just to give some context.
Yes, okay. So interactive art is basically an experience that you can go and by doing a certain action, you're creating a response with a piece of art. So Meow Wolf was one of the first organizations to really take this and run with it. And so they actually had built this ship in Santa Fe, right? And it did really well. It was like this crazy ship with all these things that you could go and play with, and kids were having fun. And then the horns. Then they took it to the next level and actually met with the guy who founded the Game of Thrones. And he bought a bowling alley, and then they turned it into this crazy experience where you're like inside of this house, and then you open the fridge and you can go through a wormhole into a different world. Some of the examples of an interactive piece we would have here is I wanted to make this, basically, have you ever seen those paint buckets where you fill it with paint, like a 5-gallon pail, and then you pull out a piece and you let it swing like a pendulum, right? And it creates a beautiful pattern, a geometric pattern on the ground, right? So we could do the same thing with sand. That could constantly be reset, and we could make it so that it was almost like a garden hose sprayer where you could change the heads on it and it would change the pattern, right? So adults and kids alike could play with that for hours, and we could have some theory around that. We're also going to do a 360 projection mapping dome downstairs and showcase a lot of spaces in Puerto Rico that are of interest that people don't know about, and raise awareness with that. And we can have interactivity in how that journey plays out, basically. I mean, there's so many other things that cymatic installations, which is like the visualization of sound. If you've ever seen that, it's like one simple way of showcasing that is like a metal plate that's connected to a sound producer that produces different frequencies, and then you put sand on it, and you can actually see all the visual patterns. So we have an idea to do that with a speaker that actually has a container that's waterproof on top, and it creates those patterns in water, and then we want to submerge an LED underneath the surface of that will project that beautiful image onto the roof, and then you could walk up to it and twist the knob and change the frequency, and then twist another knob and change the color of the LED. So these are all things that would be considered interactive.
So it's like science, education, interactive, it's fun. I mean, I think that's a lesson being learned right now is like education needs to change on how it has been. Why not make it fun on top of learning if I'm interpreting like the kids learn something?
Exactly. My theory, and maybe if I was to do a TED Talk at some point, I would talk about how arts and entertainment is at the heart of capturing the minds and hearts of the people, right? What is everyone trying to do? You want to go home, you're trying to watch movies, you're trying to go to movies or to a play or to a bar and hang out with your friends, listen to music. So whatever it is that you're trying to communicate to someone or educate, it has to be fun, right? Like the most engaging educational experiences I've had, it's just been a blast. Right. You just it's gamified, or you're working as a team, or so that's what we're really thinking. That's where the approach is for this educational programming we want to have. It's not just going to be like a textbook, right? This is going to be something completely new. We're going to look at AR, VR. We already have augmented reality. We're working with a Puerto Rican entrepreneur that is very talented with that. We have some Taino symbols that with the Instagram app, you can actually scan it, and it will create a visualization that can educate you about what that Taino symbol is and what it means to people here. And so,
And
yeah.
Tainos are like what are they?
So they are one of the native groups that was here originally. There are many others that existed, but our storyline in the space is a time-traveling Taino scientist that was lost in time, and you basically have to find her. And each level is a different point of time in Puerto Rico's history, so the past, present, and future of Puerto Rico. And the rooftop where we are is showcasing sustainable technologies, solar, rain catchment. I want to build aircrete bricks. We're going to do a latex concrete habitat rooftop on the gazebo up top. That is a way to produce a roof for very little money with simple materials: Portland cement, sand, water, and latex paint, old latex paint. And there was a guy in the 80s who relocated 19,000 people in Africa using this technology. So that's really what it is. It's like, how can we make it fun to learn about these things? How can you actually participate, build some of these things, get hands-on? And then you're really starting to engage with a story that's creating an emotional response in you, creating your own story, and then creating more neural pathways because you're working with your hands. There's many different inputs versus just listening to someone, right? There's more synaptic connections that are being created if you can learn in that type of environment.
Yeah, and I mean, even your name, Imaginación or imagination in English, is so fitting because your subconscious mind, like whatever you desire, like it's everything to create an imagination for children and even adults. Like Einstein was, clear in making that, like, it doesn't matter your age, the more you imagine where you're headed, the more you get. So
Yeah.
I see and we don't forget our history, which is amazing that you're bringing light to the Tainos and the different stories so people don't forget, because obviously that's another thing. So maybe let's hit on some of the artists, because we're going to show some B-roll and throughout this video on where we're at your place, but what maybe some of the artwork, and we'll throw it on the screen, like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so behind us, this is Don Remix. So he's an amazing international artist and has a huge heart and in massive support of the youth here. We've recognized that when you're young, you're at a turning point, you're at a crossroads. If you believe that you can do something, you will do it. If you are raised in an environment and around people that tell you can't, then the odds are you're not going to do it. So that's really the key of this space, is to show them opportunity and show them how powerful they are at a young age, and give them the resources and the toys and tools to play with and change the direction of their lives. Gustavo Adolfo, he's a fantastic artist, one of the first artists that was involved, and he is actually going to put together a mural painting class, and so we're gonna help some people learn and teach people how to paint. Everyone loves to paint murals. It's super fun. The other shorts I was just wearing they're my palette, when I'm painting murals. Paulina is another artist. She's a local art student. And she's going to paint this, and she's been a huge supporter, helping to paint some of the other murals. We also have this garita that we're going to make one of the guard towers around the water fountain downstairs, and there'll be an interactive window where, almost like Doctor Strange, you can turn a knob and teleport to different places and times through the window. So actually, John Williams of Karma Honey is donating a TV for that purpose. So then we also have the immersive learning team, and they're coming more in on the back end tech support. Right now, Francisco's downstairs working on some steps that will light up in different colors when you step on them, and interactivity, and he's also consulting with a lot of the other technology we need to support the different experiences. They're brilliant. They were in MIT programs, and their ed tech company was doing extremely well before COVID hit, and so I'm very excited to collaborate with them, work with them, support them, and basically define our more cutting edge educational programs with them. That's what they do, and it's really amazing what they pulled off. So and there's been like an endless number of supporters that have come through, and volunteers. and Keith is here working, and he's been a tremendous supporter. He actually came in and was really inspired by all the hydroponics and sustainable living. And my partner Brian is very techie. He's the one who's been nailing the how do we 360 projection map, in a dome, right?
Love it.
So there's a lot of tremendous challenges. And then Alex Herrero, he's an amazing storyteller, and he's been working with his teacher in a video production class to actually do all the storyboards and write the storyline for the intro video and the time travel cave, and finding actresses, and there's just so many people, and the Uribe family they've been a huge supporter of us volunteer wise, and have just been here from the beginning, and I've really become really good friends with them, and they've helped us make a lot of connections in the community and things like that. So it's just, if I missed anybody, I love you. I'm under the gun here.
Good. I'm glad you're kind of explaining, because I think even though you mentioned a lot of names, one thing that stands out is there's a lot of people involved in making what your vision is complete, and so your donation is going towards a cause of bringing children imagination, creativity, education, and reviving a Old San Juan staple, if I'm hearing that. So maybe just kind of wrapping up, any other kind of takeaways or key things you want to kind of point out to potential donors or other people that could get involved in supporting?
Yeah, I mean, I can say that what we're doing it's very different. It's a unique approach. One of the side effects of it is that it is quite expensive to do what we're doing. But I work tirelessly. For me, the reason this works is because I love this. I really love it. I love the community aspect of it, and working with other people and learning from them and us learning from each other and working towards a bigger goal and a vision. And Simon Sinek is always talking about what's your why, and I want to give back, and I really get paid basically nothing for this. In a couple years, I've made a few thousand, right? So it's for me, it's a labor of love, and that's what it takes. You got to have somebody who's pushing, and people notice that, and then and a lot of people are in love with the idea of bringing this building back, but then also having impact out in the community.
Yeah.
So we want to do special projects like Don Rymix. For a small grant, we're going to go into the residenciales, maybe even take or work with kids from one residenciale and mix them in with another one, and he'll paint a framework, right? I'm sure Gustavo will want to be part of it too because of his mural classes. So then they paint a framework, and the kids can do like a paint by number, and they go in and they're part of painting a mural that is something that is representative of a very important person or thing to the community, a message, right? And then we want to figure out how to parlay that in with some of the educational programs, because the Boys and Girls Clubs have classrooms in the residenciales right now. So these are the things we're looking at. It's like, how can we really use our construction ability, our artistic ability, and other things to create impactful things in the community.
Got it. So one last thing, how else, in addition to money, obviously you said it's expensive, how else can people get involved? What sorts of things can they do, if anything, to get involved beyond just money?
Sure. So we do need volunteers. There's a lot of things that need to be done here, labor things, creating art, people that are very technical, that have ability with Arduinos and Raspberry Pis or technology that can help us to actually create some of the exhibits and get the space open, or have experience with ed tech and can help us to structure some of our educational programs beyond what the immersive learning team and we have come up with. We're just very open to ideas, and once the space is open, we can throw events here, and we want to be throwing events where people can come and learn new trades and skills.
Awesome. And what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
So yeah, our Instagram, Imaginación San Juan, imagination in Spanish. Evan at creatoracademy.io, India Ocean. And yeah, that's the best way for now. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for coming on.
course.
Yeah.
Right.
Till next time.
See ya.